There is potentially a new little tool that can help you guys get faster. Right, it is called Bloops, and it's made by a guy called Duncan, who we know as part of the community here. He has taken it upon himself to try and help everyone with this nice little widget here. Basically, it shows you the inputs and outputs of your driving live to a reference lap. Now this links in with Garage 61. Obviously all the links will be downstairs. It links in from laps from Garage 61, which is an online telemetry tool. Very, very useful for looking at faster times and improving your lap time through telemetry. But this will show it live as you run around the circuit. Now Bloops has a download link right there. You can click on download and go through the normal process of installing. You will get a Windows pop-up that says, do you want to install this, because it doesn't have a certificate. Obviously installing anything without a Windows certificate is at your own risk, so I take no liabilities for that. But then you'll get a nice little icon on the screen like that. Load it up. Mine's already running because I planned this out somewhere, and in a nutshell, this is the window that you can see. Click on the Garage 61 to log in, and it will take you to the website and ask you to confirm that you want to authorize them to talk to each other. Now this works with your teams in Garage 61. Now Bloops do have their own team that you can join in once you open the piece of software. You can see its third option down there, and I do have my own on Garage 61, which links will all be downstairs in the description, of course. But this is what I like about this at the moment, because it's very, very simple and very, very easy to use. And in a nutshell, scrolling down a little bit now, you can see there brake, bloops, throttle, and lift. So they will become apparent as we go into the car. But those are the settings, nice and simple. Let's get in the car and see what this thing can actually do. So we are here in session, and you can see the overlay nice and big in the top left-hand corner there. It's got nothing on there, so we need to pop back to the little app. So we can click on this and select a lap if we don't want to choose that one. So that'll be our quickest one. You can see I'm there with a little bit slower.
I feel like I'm gonna explode here. Ugh.
And you can see there we got Robert. So Robert is another member of the channel. We do know him. We race with him quite a lot. And you can see there this little setting becomes really useful. Used fixed lap in a fixed series. So it's very good that it can differentiate between the two, because if you are trying to learn, there's no point you learning on a fixed setup when someone else has a much, much faster open setup. Sometimes they can be a lot quicker. Sometimes they're about the same, but it depends on where the lap time is generated. So let's get on track and see what happens. Right, this is generally the first time we're going around with this thing, so, and because I'm very prepared, I haven't actually got my gloves on, but it already knows the gear alert, and it already knows our throttle input. You can confirm the throttle input with the iRacing one, which is down on the bottom left-hand side. So it does me brake, does the throttle. Obviously, there's no point in mapping the clutch because that's something we're not worrying about. Steering inputs we got there, which is fantastic. So fingers crossed, we can see a delta time. It's obviously not going to count for anything. Ah, so we've got a lovely little bit of visual audio there of counting down to a braking zone. So that'd be very, very nice if you're braking mega early. So let's listen to the tune. So there's a bit of braking there, and we can... Oh, there's no braking there. Oh, there was a little bit braking from Robert. So I'm braking a little bit earlier there. See, that overlay is nice and big that you can see it. Look at my braking trace as it goes off screen there compared to Robert. So you can probably push it a little bit more into that braking zone. So that's good to know. So again, Robert's braking a little bit less through there. He will probably done it on warm tyres, so we need to bear that in mind as we're on our outlap. And that's probably about right, but I'm not confident enough to go through there full throttle at the minute. But that is a very, very, very good visual and audio representation of what's going on. And it counts you into it as well, so... See, that's a very, very similar braking profile there. You can see I'm much later on the throttle, though, so I need to pick up the throttle earlier. Also picking up our mini sectors as well to see where we're actually losing time. Yeah. Cold tyres there is making me not follow that... profile of braking profile there. As I almost hit the wall. So yeah, very, very interesting that you can actually glance up there and have a gander at the braking points. And more importantly, the throttle, and try and match it. I do like the fact that you can easily see it as well. So I'm actually earlier and smoother on throttle than Robert there. A little bit down on the delta time, but that's okay. Take more curve, get on throttle earlier. Not as quick. I was on throttle earlier, but not on full throttle as earlier, although that was a tenth quicker, so that's pretty good. These mini sectors are useful as well, because you can really focus on... Oh, there we go. See, that was better. Earlier on throttle, a little bit more brake, but much, much earlier on throttle than Robert. And we are a tenth down, actually, so that's useful. So, editing me here, you don't have to look at my face. Now, that number in the middle of the delta, I'll point to it on the screen. That is actually our speed difference. So I'm 1 mile an hour quicker down this straight at this point of the reference lap. So that's kind of good to know, particularly going through this corner. Look, goes up to 7 miles an hour quicker, but then comes down again. So I'm focusing too much on entry and not enough on exit, and that's losing me time. The gears, you can see the gear is white, and that's good. That means I'm in the same gear as the reference lap. If it's green, I need to change up, and if it's red, I need to change down. So it's also useful to visually indicate if you're in the wrong gear. And obviously the color is the discrepancy of what's going on. Now, that steering around that hairpin, you did see a gray bar appear there. That appears when I'm steering too much. So if you see the gray overlay, that means I'm steering too much compared to the reference lap. You see it was slightly more left. That means the reference lap was I needed to steer more into that corner. So again, we'll see it here. Look, it'll appear. It's just slightly behind and slightly lagging. So therefore, my steering is reasonable within tolerance, but needs updating. The mini deltas are the braking zone, so we can see we're gaining time on the way into the corner on that green, and we're losing on exit. I am going into these corners too quick compared to Robert. These are all proper little good tweaks that you can do to your lap to make them faster. Now, my thoughts. This is a wonderful little widget that Duncan has created, and in a nutshell, it just gives you that another sort of... It's the order of cues that I found really, really useful. It counts you into the braking zone. You can obviously have brake bloops, throttle bloops, and lift bloops. Now, these are basically with corners that you don't need to brake on. So let's take, for example, Road America, the kink. Some cars you don't even have to brake, but you do have to lift off, and this will still give you the same audio warnings of when to lift off, and you can obviously look from the telemetry of how much you need to lift off by. So it's very, very useful, particularly the kink. We all know is notorious for people running wide, running out of talent on the grass, and then pinballing it down the bloody alleyway that is going down to Canada Corner between the walls. Massive, massive crashes have already happened around there. So knowing where to lift off and then to turn in sort of thing on certain cars is a very, very useful thing to know. Again, comes with a caveat of all practicing with reference laps. You know, reference lap could be done on low fuel. It could be done on a lot warmer tyres, slightly different track conditions as well. So you do need to take that with a pinch of salt, but really, really, really useful as another aid to find those precious, precious tenths or half a second or seconds or whatever you're trying to look for, as I get another off track, to improve your lap times and get them lower, and ultimately, hopefully, enjoy the racing much, much more. Thank you very much. Go give Duncan some love in his Discord, and be sure to check it out. I haven't been obviously paid to do any of this. This was just a bit of software that I saw, and I thought that could be fun. And here you are. So thank you very much. Catch you on the next one.